Judy Miller, an adjunct fellow at the Manhattan Institute for Policy Research, also Pulitzer-winning author and journalist. She's traveled to Syria many times in the past. Judy Miller, let me ask you, because you have such rich experience in the region and in the area, do you agree with this former ambassador's take on the seriousness of the message sent with last night's strikes?
I absolutely agree with Ambassador Ford. He left the administration in part because he wanted a tougher policy towards Syria and greater involvement of America in Syria. I think that what struck me about the missile strike last night was its targeted, limited, but absolutely precise objective in terms of what it wanted to accomplish. And that is reestablishing the red line or the norm against the use of chemical weapons or any weapon of mass destruction in the Middle East or anywhere. We've seen a steady erosion of that norm over time as the Syrians have begun to ramp up their capability again. So sending that message was absolutely crucial, and I think it's well in time.
Speaking of red lines, it seems that the president has an almost impossible, but certainly difficult dance that he must do, right, around the red line you speak about, making it really clear that the United States and the rest of the world will not stand for the chemical weapons, but also not further aggravating an already tense, some are calling it icy relationship when it comes to Russia, of course, and Iran. So the narrowness, the focus, the laser focus, if you will, surgical precision in which these missiles were executed. I also heard the Vice President today speak about sustaining this effort. Judy, I'm asking you, if we sustain it, if we have to do this again and again and again, potentially, to drive home the message, can we maintain that type of precision, or is it inevitable that at some point this will lead into some Russian targets?
Well, I think another goal of the strike last night was to make sure that we don't have to do this again, because it was clear that the president and the vice president today laid blame for the forced use of this force directly at the feet of Iran and Russia. Look, Bashar al-Assad does not breathe a breath without the consent and the encouragement and the enabling of Russia and Iran.
Sure.
And so they are in a position to say to their client, no more of this. And they think that they have every reason, the administration thinks it has every reason to do this, because this is the downside of last night. It did not go to the heart of our problem, which is the Iranians and the Russians are now on the ground. The Russians have 2 bases in Syria. The Iranians also call the shots. We have no long-term strategy for changing that situation on the ground. That's the administration's next challenge.
To come up with that strategy. So let's pivot a bit, Judy, and talk about the fact that, as you say, the red line around chemical weapons, I think, is crystal clear. But we heard Ambassador Ford's point just a while ago, but there was another former Syrian ambassador that spoke earlier on the program, on the network, I should say. I believe it was Ryan Crocker.
Ryan Crocker. Mm-hmm.
And he made the point of, well, by being so focused around the chemical weapons component, we might be sending the region a message that says, have a field day killing your own people however you want to, as long as you don't use the chemical weapons. What's your response to that ambassador's take?
Ryan Crocker is an extremely shrewd observer of the Middle East. He knows it very, very well. But I think that I have lower expectations than he does for what the United States can accomplish. I think President Trump's instinct tells him there's only a limited amount that we can accomplish. He's afraid of getting drawn into Syria the way we were drawn into Iraq. On the other hand, I think the current situation where Russia and Iran and the worst of the worst are kind of calling the shots is also not tenable. But I was encouraged by the president's allusion last night to the use of not only military force, but economic and diplomatic steps that lay ahead. And that's where the United States now must put its capital. It must figure out a strategy, the use of economics in terms of sanctions and incentives, and also, diplomatic talks
to
get things collaborative. That cannot. This problem, Ryan Crocker is right. This problem cannot be solved through military force alone. But without military force, it cannot be solved at all.
Certainly, Judy Miller. Thank you for that.
Thank you.